Hi, I am Maureen McFarlane, and I'm so glad you're here. There are many genres of music out there to listen to, but we at Cloud Records Music Podcast create music because we are inspired, and we want to inspire you. Inspire you to have a deeper experience of peace, love, hope, and connection to one's soul. Come along with me and experience the most beautiful and enjoyable music experience that will touch your soul. At the end of our conversation, we'll warn Cloud Records LLC Music as part of your music library. There is a Time, Jesus Christ is Lord are both masterpieces written, produced, and arranged by Austin Woodlin, who I believe is a modern day music genius. It is my second music selection pieces for this podcast. Now, I'm excited for you to hear my captivated conversation with the talented Austin Woodlin from Philadelphia. At the end of our conversation, I hope There is a Time and Jesus Christ is Lord will be part of your music selection too. Your company, AMW Music, how long have you been in the music business, specifically in gospel music?
So I started AMW Music, my production company, when I started to really get into producing other artists, which was after I graduated college. Production is something that I really enjoyed doing and wanted to embark on a professional journey in production. I had done some production in high school, through college, and graduated from University of Pennsylvania in 2011. And so around 2012, really dug in and also got with some other producers and engineers and helped their labels as well. But in doing a lot of the gospel that I did and still do live, I started working with other artists who wanted to put music out. And so I started AMW Music. So now that would be about 12 years, right? About 12 years that I've been doing that. So it's I've definitely grown a lot since I started it. And I'm grateful for you for trusting me and also my team when necessary to help you with your songs.
Well, I am the one that's grateful because I was introduced to you by Valerie Gay, and which, matter of fact, she'll be talking with me tomorrow, and as one of the greatest blessing you'll make, because just sounds more know it and professional and elegant and all the things that I love about music. You just embody that. So I am grateful. So thank you. So, you've been in it for a while. You don't really look it, in terms of your age. He's more seasoned than he actually looks. However, how has gospel music changed in terms of the sounds? Because there's like a rhythm out there that it's the same everywhere you go, but once in a while you get a little different sound. And over the years, how has gospel music changed?
Gospel, in terms of the genre of Christian gospel, is very broad. Even just the gospel area can be very broad. But when I was growing up and learning gospel music, it was around that age, that time period where we were still trying to figure out if hip hop gospel was okay and how far, across the lines could we go? Because I was born in '89, so that was the '90s, and that's when that really kind of started getting popular. And we were experimenting. Well, they were. I was still learning how to play.
Okay.
We were experimenting and trying different things. We heard new sounds, but back then I was into choir music, really heavy. Choirs was my favorite gospel music to hear. So I grew up on like Hezekiah Walker, top favorite. Ricky Diller, James Hall, and they're still pumping out great music today.
Mm-hmm.
Choir music has definitely become a little bit lesser in the forefront, and genres in gospel, like contemporary or urban gospel, have picked up and come to the more to the limelight. And
Right.
so that's one way it has changed. We've gotten more electronic, we've gotten more digital. Things have, because back in the day, you can listen to some old gospel recordings and hear mistakes and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Today it's like they didn't want to fix that. They didn't care back then. They probably could. The technology is way different in 20 years.
Yes.
So it's very, very different. It's much more digital and things have changed. But then you also have the evolution of Christian contemporary music. So I've had to learn to develop that sound into my style, very different from gospel. But we have taken Christian contemporary and made it fit into gospel in ways that work for African American churches and
Mm-hmm.
artists, and also they've kept the choir sound alive as well in a sense. And so it's just a blending of everything. And for me as a producer, trying to embody all those sounds and keep all of those sounds alive, stay relevant to whoever needs which one.
Mm-hmm. I got you. Now, you're part of the younger generation, so this IT and all that, you just know how to do it. Was the adjustment difficult for you to make? To transition from the traditional choir sound to what you call hip hop and contemporary type of the sound in the gospel
For
and
me,
spiritual?
it was not difficult for me. I'm very technical. As a matter of fact, I was going to study engineering in school, and I did do some programming and things like that. So computers is like pretty straightforward for me. I don't have many issues with like technological changes.
Mm-hmm.
And those were the main advancements that we made to our music. And so it wasn't much technologically. It was only, I would say, musically, just keeping up, learning what the patterns were that were coming out, things that we played or heard differently. Musically, there were some changes, but technically, I was okay.
Okay. No, I know you also play different instruments. You're just all around talented brothers. All right. You also teach music, correct?
Yes.
And how long have you been teaching music?
I started teaching, um, I think it was a little bit after I started producing. And me teaching, I went through a couple of different business um, entities, but now I have one called Every Key Lessons. And we've been in business for about 4 years, but I've been teaching for about 8 or 9 actually now. I've been teaching for about 9 years. What I've done is I've added other teachers to help me, so that I can help as many people learn as possible. I'm actually fully booked with students during the week. I have 2 other piano teachers, and we have vocals as well as guitar, online and in person in Philadelphia, Delaware, and different areas where people are virtual. So we enjoy helping those to learn about music that desire to learn. I do play a few instruments. Bass is probably my second, as after keyboards and organ.
Mhm.
Bass guitar, drums. What musician, what keyboard player doesn't start out on drums? Many of us play drums.
That's the main instrument, right?
What's my story? You just see drums and you want to bang on them, and then you move on to other things.
Right.
But definitely still playing drums. I always play drums on our references when we first do our songs before we actually call in other musicians. I like to play everything first. So I do those things. Um, Saxophone, a little bit of trumpet, guitar, and pipe organ.
Right. Well, I know I heard you just playing something there, and Austin produced thus far majority of cloud record music, and two of my favorite are "There's a Time" and "Jesus Christ is Lord."
Hmm.
And which one were you playing right there? I heard you doing something on the piano.
I think I was working through there at the time. It's been a while because
Give us
it's
a little bit of it, and then you can
I
tell us
remember the
how.
key, with the key that it was in. If anybody
Okay,
knows me, I'm bad with remembering keys,
okay, okay. Well, let's
but I
see.
know this one is.
Oh, that's lovely. So that leads up to my next question. There are a variety of ways that producer creates the concept of the sound. What is your process that you use to bring melody, right, and chord progression into life? How do you get the ideas of the different,
That's a good question.
beautiful sound?
That's a good question. I always rely on what the writer hears first. So, you know how we do. And when we have our songs, I always want to hear what was the melody that you wanted, or sort of an idea of the melody, because the
Mhm.
songwriter already usually has lyrics. And I also know that they hear melody. And when they hear melody, I develop the rest of the chord as well as can assist with melody and things like that. But I take like your melody and I use the appropriate scales and chords to find the sound that the song needs. A lot of times, like for the Jesus Christ is Lord, there was an idea, at least from with what we had with Cloud Records, there was an idea of the melody, and it's not always fine tuned. It's not always specific notes.
Mhm.
But we had an idea. We knew we wanted every knee shall bow and every tongue confess, and we
Yes, that
were
is
working
true.
with
Yes.
ups and downs
Yeah.
of the feeling that you wanted. And the
Yes.
rhythm came from that, and the note choices came from just that ebb and flow of, okay, that's how you want it to sound. That's how you want
Mhm.
it. You might not be a singer, but we were able to take that and create, where was that? Every nation. We made that a little darker. We made it minor because it's minor brings a seriousness to music, and that is a very serious message. Every
Mhm.
show bow, and I think the message helps me also create the sound. What are we trying to say? So between the melody that's given to me, the
Mhm.
words and what they mean,
Mhm.
I try to take those things and think about the melody. Does it make sense to me? Would I change anything? I might make a few melodic changes, but I really, really want to keep the artist's melody for the most part. And then I take the melody, put the chords that go along with the melody with that. And once I get my chords and rhythm, like the tempo and the chords, then I'll build around it, whatever else and sounds and other voicings that the song might need.
Great. Ladies and gentlemen, we actually have a good time because I've written the lyrics to the songs thus far, some
Mhm.
of the songs that Cloud Record has put in the hands of this amazing, talented, and gifted artist. And it was always interesting to me because he would say, I'm not a singer, but, to give some idea of how I'd want the sound to be. And I'm always so impressed and amazed how you're able to perfect it, because I know how bad I sound, but you get it. I'm like, he's so talented. He get what I'm trying to say and feel. Now, Austin, I love symphonies, orchestra, that those big numbers. And both those songs to me, when I listen to them play in a symphony, because I've heard one of our two of our song, and the way you produce it almost sound like, in a symphony,
Mhm.
you know, that is, you can tell me, is that a more difficult road to try and break through in the gospel music? Because, like I said, the sounds are so similar today, and we're trying to break into a new sound, right? Of inspirational, but using this symphony feel, like you're in a big production.
Yeah, it is very symphonic and orchestral and classical. That is a sound that is not new to gospel. I think Richard Smallwood is the king of classical gospel music, if you
Really?
would call it
Okay.
that. That's what I think. I mean, we know he's classically trained pianist.
Mm-hmm.
He's a classically trained musician. You can hear it in his songs, and his instrumentation. You
Mm-hmm.
know, his one of his most popular songs, "Anthem of Praise," has that whole prelude before it. And you have to think about his other songs like Coronation and those tracks that have all of that orchestration. Even Total Praise is probably most popular, has that heart going through
Mm,
it.
yes.
He's just amazing. So that's the first person I think of when I think of orchestra gospel. Is Richard Smallwood, and it's still not new. However, the opera sound is very different, meaning
Mm-hmm.
Richard Smallwood had a choir, and we are doing more of the solo voice
Right.
with the orchestra. And that may be different, but it's still very, very relevant, I think, although it's very different. And so
Yes.
classical music as a whole may not be as popular as contemporary or, rhythm and blues, hip hop, even the contemporary gospel with the new choir music or the contemporary Christian, things like that.
Right. Right.
In terms of interest, classical may fall under that, but we will be able to break through to the classical audiences.
Yes, and for all those folks out there that into the symphony and classical and looking for great gospel sound, reach out to us. I think it'll be fabulous. Now, you have worked with some of the top artists, and you've had some awards, or people had some award that you've worked with. You know, I'm new to this business, very, very new, still learning. What make you decide to, join up with Cloud Records and work with us?
Well, I always appreciate every opportunity to create good music. Um, I have played for many artists, the mainstream artists, and don't need to mention names, but
Hmm.
production wise, um, I do feel like I have a calling right now to help get people off the ground. And so there are many people that come to me trying to get this song out their head, trying to get this project done that maybe didn't go well over here, and they want to try again. Trying to hear something that they're hearing but out of their head, and that
Hmm.
help getting their music
Hmm.
on in the stores, in the digital stores, or on a CD. And I love production, and I also am doing music um,
Hmm.
full time. So I would also, you know, always appreciate the work as well in terms of having family things and things like that. And so I think I'm blessed to produce music and to help anyone that would be in need, so
Hmm.
that we can get these songs that really are a lot of times great songs. That even though people may be new artists or maybe not new artists, but without much exposure, to help people get their music to a higher quality as much as I can.
Yes. Well, I am so grateful for you as to decide to work with us. And, we have so much more music to make that's coming. And it hasn't been easy trying to get the sound out, but obviously we're trying many ways to do that. And we're just going to continue until we break through. Because it's so worth it. And I would encourage all those that are listening to us to go down on all the platforms and do get Jesus Christ as Lord. You really
Yes.
appreciate a song by Camilla Green. Will be visit us soon on our podcast here. And of course, there's a time by Garrick V. Morgan and Valerie V. Gay. And it's so interesting because we also did a prayer meditation album, right? And which is probably the least one that takes the most effort, but it's beautiful, the sound behind it. And it's like one of the most, people are like eating it up.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
So it's, I'm not sure what it to tell us is people in need of prayer, but the music that we've,
I
go
think
ahead.
there is, it's less saturated. There's a lot of people making songs, but not many people doing what you just did there.
Yeah.
And so when we're looking for that, when we're looking for prayer music, not just prayer music, but you have the prayers on there, different topics. And when people are looking for something to listen to by way of prayer, they can grab that because that's one of the few things that are out there. So I commend you for putting that out.
Yeah, well, we thank the Lord for that because He's the one that's told me to do it, and it seems to be doing well, and that too even need more exposure. And when it does get to the level of exposure, I'm sure it's going to be explored. I expect all our music to do that,
Yes.
once we find our path, which we will. So I am so grateful. Now, I know you don't like to talk about all the big artists you work with, but I know you work with quite a few. And ladies and gentlemen, there's a reason behind it. By the way, if you really looking for somebody with gift, talent, and patience, and he's the guy to call, right? So, what is the name of your company again? So they know how to reach you.
AMW Music. And you can find me on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. My Instagram is AMW Music _DR. Facebook and YouTube, just Austin Woodlin.
Okay, and we'll add that information below as well. And so, Austin, I am so grateful and thank you for stopping in at our new thing, Cloud Record Music Podcast, and please do subscribe to this channel, like us, and do share with your friends and family. And most importantly, you must go out and get our songs. All right. So thank you for joining us, and Austin, it's a pleasure as always.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Have a good night.
You too.